there, single ladies. I wanted to pop into the group really quick and do a live and talk about 10 dangerous reasons that women fall for men too quickly. If you find yourself, getting attached really quickly to men, or maybe to men who are emotionally unavailable, or to guys who will not be good to you or for you, then I hope that this will help you. So let's jump off the bridge of getting attached too quickly. I don't know if that sounds too good, but let's get started with these 10 reasons. So the first one is chemistry. You may have heard me talk about this a lot before, but research shows that the brain actually changes when someone feels like they are in love. In fact, some people think that it's like being on cocaine, like it's that strong. There's that level of comparison between being in love and being on cocaine. So some women have a particular type of guy that they're interested in. And when they meet somebody who fits within the parameters of this type of man, sometimes they fall really quickly because they're thinking, oh, this is the guy. And it's based off of some sort of emotional high that they have to this type of person. But the problem is that this wears off, right? So research shows that this can only last up to a couple years, but this chemistry is not proof that a relationship is good. The second reason is the fear of abandonment or rejection. So maybe in your past you've been anxious about attaching to other people, or maybe you feel like you're lesser, like the men that you meet, you put them on a pedestal and they're up here and you're down here in your mind, and you fear some sort of rejection or abandonment. Then you might emotionally attach to the men who come into your life, and you may attach quickly also because you are trying to find or to prove to that guy that you are worthy of being loved and accepted. But again, it's just not wise to attach quickly because you really don't know somebody. The second reason, or the third reason, is ignoring red flags. So when a woman deeply desires to have a relationship, a guy comes along, she may justify. Empathetic types especially do this, so she may justify and overlook red flags because she doesn't want to be mean, and she won't give those red flags a voice, because if she did, then she'd have to think about it and then slow down. So there are some personality types that are pleasers, and when we are pleasers, sometimes we don't want to be mean, we don't want to speak our voice and what we really think, or we don't want to ask to slow down because we're afraid of making waves in the relationship. The fourth reason is being alone. So I know firsthand from being single for a very long time until I was 46, sometimes it can feel kind of burdensome, right? As we go to do everything in life by ourselves. We're juggling our job alone and household chores alone. And when we are ill, we're carrying that by ourselves. And sometimes the burdens of life can just feel really heavy. And we really wish that there was someone who would come along to help us. And so if we get really tired of carrying that burden and we're in a place where we just want someone to share it with, we may attach really quickly to a guy and jump in. I heard a story of a woman that I had done an interview with for one of the books that I wrote, and she talked to me about how she was just tired of being by herself, and so she overlooked red flags and she let the man who came into her life move her boundaries because she just was sick of being by herself. So this is not wise to want to be rescued to that level, right? It's normal that we would want someone who would come into our life to share our life with, but when we overlook red flags or jump in real quickly because we're desperate not to be by ourselves, that's when we can make mistakes. I heard a quote one time that said, desperate desires make us do desperate things. And it's normal to want relationship, but we don't want our desires to allow us to, or to push us into a situation where we would overlook red flags. The next one is guilt about not being exclusive. So sometimes I hear women say, well, when I meet somebody from the very first date, like I'm all in, right? I'm very loyal. But the problem with this, especially if we don't know someone, is that we're giving affection to someone, a level of affection and attachment to someone that may not have done that for us. And the second thing is that we may not know if they're even worthy of that. So some people, when they do this, what they do is they're jumping over stages that they should be naturally progressing through in the relationship. So like the acquaintance stage and the friendship stage before you would exclusively date. And so this can cause a lot of pressure in that relationship. And my question is, like, why would you want to give a man that level of like a that level of attachment in your life when he hasn't said to you, hey, I'm only dating you. So some people feel guilty. They feel like they're doing the wrong thing if they aren't giving a man their full affection from the beginning. But we want to remember that you want him to pursue you. And so it's okay to keep your options at the beginning until a man has said that he wants to only see you and that you are his girlfriend. The next one is imagining he's the perfect guy. Okay, so for some of us that are very romantic in our perspective, we're kind of like starry eyed lots of times. We can start filling in the blanks about who a guy is, and guys do this too, right? Men who will jump in really quickly with a woman, they get enthralled with maybe how a woman looks or how they, and then it's how they perceive her to be. And then the next thing you know, they're making her into this image of who they think she is, and she's not that person at all. So it's wise just to take your time and to get to know somebody. That's why organic relationships that just happen, right? You just meet somebody and you get to know someone slowly. You're not assuming who this person is. But sometimes when we're very drawn to someone from the beginning, we start to assume that they are this perfect person for us or this perfect guy when may or may not be the case. So, rather than paint this person in this perfect image of who you think they are, it would be better to think, I met this man. I don't really know him. I'm really attracted to him. And start listening to your brain, especially about what kind of character traits you're looking for. And ask yourself, do I really know if this person has these character traits? Do I know if this is the kind of person that I can have a long-term relationship with? And when you start thinking from a character trait level, what it will do is it'll cause you to slow down a little bit. Number 7 is being addicted to the feeling of being in love. So this kind of goes along with my first point that some women, they believe that emotions, and men can be like this too, emotions or some sort of strong sexual attraction for a guy is proof that a relationship is good or that has potential. But we have to remember that these feelings of love or sexual attraction, they're not proof that anything is good for the long haul or even that that person will be a good match for you. I often say that people are like a pie, right? And we're made up of pieces. And the sexual attraction part or the physical attraction part is one part of the pie. A person is a whole pie, and we need to understand who that person is before we would jump in and commit to them. I can't tell you how many women I've talked to who have gotten exclusively involved with a guy from the very beginning because they had some sort of strong emotional attachment to the person, and then they realize later, okay, wait a minute, that's not proof that this is going to work, and then they had to back up the relationship truck, and then they get hurt, the guy gets hurt, and it's just time spent that you could have spent, being open to other options or understanding more fully about who this man really is. The 8th one is trusting too quickly, and this can kind of go along with empathetic women too, or women who are pleasers, because sometimes they don't want to make judgments about people. They feel like it's mean, but making a judgment about a person isn't a mean thing. It's just being wise and open. It's being discerning, right? So as we get older, we start to recognize, okay, I need to understand more about who this person is, and maybe we become a little bit more comfortable with our assessments. So it doesn't mean that you're being mean when you make a judgment about a person's personality or whether or not they would be safe. It's just being wise, right? And we don't want to like err on the side of like seeing everybody as being the best for us, as everybody having our best intention in or our best in mind, because that can be unwise too. We don't want to be cynical. We just want to keep our eyes open. The 9th reason is love bombing. And this kind of goes along with the whole chemistry thing and stuff, but maybe you've heard about love bombing. So love bombing is a counseling phrase for when a guy comes on really, really strong, and maybe he compliments her, he showers her with gifts, he gives her a lot of validation. I even heard a story about a woman, a man took her to the top of the Eiffel Tower and proposed to her, right? So it seems like, oh my gosh, this is like too good to be true. And lots of times, if it seems too good to be true, we want to kind of just step back and take our time and let the relationship unfold. So if a guy is showering you with compliments, buying you a lot of gifts, and it seems like he's rushing you into a relationship, then pay attention attention. So love bombing can be another thing that can happen. And we can be susceptible to this if we believe in things like love at first sight, or believe again in the whole chemistry thing and emotions, that kind of thing, that the strength of emotion proves the strength of a relationship. So you just want to take your time. There's a woman that I was coaching one time, and she was telling me about this guy, and you may have heard me tell this story before, but this guy who came on really strong, and he was telling her how awesome she was. And within a couple weeks, he was writing her love letters, telling her that she was the best thing that's ever happened to him. But when she started putting on her brakes and saying she wanted to slow down, well, then he got angry. Right. So we want to like test what a person's sincerity through time and then through boundaries. And these boundaries don't have to be mean. They can just be small little things that you do in a relationship. And the 10th reason is ignoring relational stages. So our culture, and you hear me talk about this a lot, but our culture has caused both men and women to believe in, like I mentioned, love at first sight, just like the movies, like we see in 120 minutes, where two people meet, they fall in love, and boom, it's happily ever after, just like that. And so when we forget that there are healthy relationship stages that a relationship should go through to develop, and we aren't buying into things like love at first sight or soulmates, which I have another, I think you can find a podcast that I did on soulmates, or inside of YouTube, there's a video on soulmates. So you can look in there and find out what I think about this. But when we don't buy into these things, what it can do is to cause us to slow down so that we move through the relational stages with intention. And then another thing that I forgot to mention, I guess we could say this is number 11, would be things like spiritual proof. And this goes along with our emotional state. So I'm not saying, like, if you follow me, I believe in God. I believe that God works in our lives. But one of the things that can get us into trouble, and I've seen this with women that I've coached, is when they don't know a guy very well. He comes on really strong, they get involved really quickly, and they're like, well, I just know that God brought us together. Okay, so this can happen, right? But the proof of whether or not that is legitimate is always just time. Like, we should never be in a rush, because lots of times, even if other people outside of us within our circle, whether it's a spiritual mentor or someone who says, well, why should you wait when you know this is just what you're supposed to do, right? It takes the responsibility off of us of finding out what the person is really like. So that's another thing just to keep in mind. So if I could sum all of these things up that I just gave to you, and I could name the motivations behind getting attached too quickly, they would be things like fear, or lust, or anxiety, or guilt, or insecurity, or loneliness, or just being naive and starry-eyed. And I know it's really difficult, because I was single for a very long time, not to get really swept up with emotion, and especially when chemistry is at work. But that's where, we're a little bit older, we can take our time, we can step back and look at the relationship, and we can also get people who are around us to help feed truth to us and help us take an objective look at a relationship. And if you have been the kind of person or the kind of woman that you've just had one red flag relationship in your life, and you were involved with a man who wasn't good to you or for you, then you want to step back and go, okay, why was that? Like, why did I miss this? Why did I jump in too quickly? Or if you feel like you're the kind of person who gets swept off your feet really easily, or you're super loyal and you give your affection to men without them deserving that affection, right, or that loyalty, then you want to step back and ask yourself some hard questions about the patterns that have existed in your dating and relationship life, because these kinds of questions will help keep you out of trouble, and it will help you find that trustworthy marriage-minded man. All right, I hope this has been helpful to you, and I will see you next time. And I wanted to let you know two things. If you haven't signed up for my free 5-day online dating challenge, I invite you to do that. And if when I say online dating, you go, I don't, like, I tried it, I don't want to do it, I'm not open to it, I want to let you know you don't have to be online dating for the challenge. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, help you with the right mindset and perspective so that you can make online dating work for you. And then I'm going to help you understand how to write a great profile and use words that statistics and studies have shown work, and the words that don't work, right? Because when we read profiles, we're all reading between the lines about what this person is like. So there's words that you should and shouldn't use. I'm going to help you develop a messaging strategy that will invite men to reach out to you and reach back. And I'm going to help you cut out all of this garbage that happens when people are just texting back and forth, right? And you get stuck in the texting or messaging thing without really ever anything happening. So you can head on over to singleover30.net/challenge with Shana. Again, that's singleover30.net/challenge with Shana. And I also want to let you know about something else. If you are interested in getting some one-on-one coaching and you're thinking, I would like some help in moving forward in my dating and relationship life, and you'd like a strategy and someone to come alongside you and hold your hand through that process, I would like to help you with that. So you can head over to shanashuttecoaching.com. Okay, I'm going to spell this for you. So it's SHANASCHUTTE.com. Again, that's SHANASCHUTTE.com. Click on the yellow button on that page. There's a form there that you can fill out, and excuse me, and then you can set up a free 30-minute breakthrough session with me. I will help you overcome one of your biggest dating and relationship obstacles for free. And then at the end, I'll talk with you about one-on-one coaching. All right, I hope to talk to you soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.